Hey everyone, it's Kate. Welcome back to Heart to Heart. If you're seeing this, you can tell I'm in a very different location because I've decided to record this video on camera as well as audio format. I'm back home. I'm in Hawaii. And if you're watching video, you might be able to see Mochi's butt because she's sleeping right next to me on the bed. I'm home for the summer. I'm applying to jobs. If you haven't heard, I'm graduating in July. I won't be going to the graduation ceremony, but I will be there in spirit. And this journalism era is coming to a pause. Who knows what's going to happen in the future? But I did ask you guys on the Heart to Heart Instagram for some questions or ideas of what I could talk about to bookmark this Leeds era. Before we begin, Heart to Heart is about resonating with each other. I've gotten through the hardest times of my life by sharing the burden with others. And I think even just empathizing with others' similar experiences can or have helped me through my own. And this is what I want Heart to Heart to be about. I've gathered every single prompt that you guys put into the questionnaire that I put on my story. And this is in no particular order, but the first one is, what will you miss the most? I think the answer for me is fairly obvious, my friends, because I've met the best people in Leeds and I've formed such strong relationships and deep relationships and bonds with people there. And also my friends in Leeds have helped me through some of the hardest, so far the hardest times of my life, emotionally and quite literally, like living in a foreign country. I am missing my friends the most. Interestingly enough, the day before my flight back home, my friends and I had a PowerPoint night and we had dinner and we said our goodbyes. We were all in tears I was at their house first and they drove me back to my flat, outside my flat. We were stood on Royal Park Road in tears, hugging each other. We couldn't say goodbye. We were stood there for like 10 minutes just crying on Royal Park Road. It was a sight to see. But the next day, when I was leaving early in the morning, I had to take the coach with all my luggage to Manchester Airport. I was not sad at all. In fact, I was listening to hype music. I was really excited, even though that might have been my last sight of Leeds. I didn't really feel that attached to Leeds itself. I feel attached to the people. And I think that's a distinction I noticed, because I still miss my friends so much, and I'm sad about leaving them, but I'm not sad about leaving Leeds the place. The next question is, would you come back to live here in the future? I think for Leeds specifically, no. I would go back to visit possibly. What's really funny is Seb and I, my friend Seb, shout out Seb, he was on Heart to Heart before for one of the first or second episode. But we were walking through town in Leeds and this lady stopped us and the woman said to me, "Can you take my picture? Make sure to get the Morrisons in the background." And I was like, okay. So as I'm taking her photo, she goes, "Oh yeah, I came to visit because the last time I was here was 27 years ago. I was an international student and this is where I used to shop and that's why I want the Morrisons in the background." I was like, okay, girl. Seb and I were like, okay, girl, like, couldn't be us, but so maybe I would have the same desire to revisit in 27 years as that lady, but to live in Leeds, I wouldn't do that again. Maybe in London or Manchester, like a big city where I can, assimilate with more people and sort of fit in a bit better, but not in Leeds. I wouldn't live in Leeds, maybe London or Manchester, but not in the near future, I don't think. If you could bring back one thing, what would it be? I feel like everything I am thinking of or would want to bring back wouldn't be something tangible or something actually feasible. Like, I do not, even though I love lots of British snacks, I don't really crave them usually when I'm here because I have an abundance of home food that I love here that I missed when I was in the UK. So I think it wouldn't be something like food. it would be more either people, and that sounds weird to say that I'd bring people back here, but I think in a dream world, I would bring the edge to Hawaii because there is really no comparison to a gym like that. It's so bougie, it's so nice, it's chill, even though you see people you don't want to see sometimes. But I think the vibes at Edge were really nice and I felt really safe in the Edge. So I would bring the Edge here. So someone make that happen. The next one is what got you through the hardest day when you were away from home. And this would be calling, video calls with my parents. In second year specifically, I was really stressed out because of multiple different things, the course, my living situation, people, and I would get on the phone with my mom and dad in the early hours of the morning because of the time difference and just stay on the phone with them. And I think what they gave me was hope. They would say things like, "Oh, it's okay, just hang in there, and when you get back, things will get better. Like, it's not going to be like that forever." And I think that's a really important thing, which is to not feel hopeless when you are feeling really low and instilling some kind of hope that nothing is permanent and that dip in mood or experiences won't be forever and you will come back or come out on the other end stronger. And there is light at the end of the tunnel, as horrible as that sounds, but it definitely was something that got me through hard times. If you could relive a day, what would it be? This is a really good question. I think in terms of reliving a day to better it, better is not the right word, but to change something I did while I was at university, then it would definitely be a day in freshers because I feel like I was A, saying things that were embarrassing, B, doing things that were embarrassing, and C, just not acting like myself. But that's a whole nother story. I feel like in freshers, we all tend to put on a different, like a facade that's a bit extreme, but like a different version of yourself that you think will make the most friends or be the quote unquote coolest. And I think I definitely was doing that during freshers, and now I'm more myself. Whereas back then I was trying to appease some sort of validation or create social connections that might not have been so real. And that's not a bad thing. I think we all go through that. But if I could go back and change that, I would be more myself during those times. But also, I think it was important character development. Like, you have to go through that phase of your life to achieve a more real version of yourself, which I think I am now. But if I could relive one day in terms of like, oof, that day was so good, I want to go back to it, it definitely would be a random day that I was at Hartley Avenue for dinner. Hartley Avenue is where my friend group lives. Seb, Audley, Izzy, Lily, Levi, shout out to my crew. Yeah, I would end up at their house for dinner on a random Tuesday evening and just stay from 6 to 10 p.m. and just the vibes in there, I can't even put them into words. Sometimes I would feel really anxious and down after a long day of just being in my head, and after going there and having dinner and connecting with them and feeling heard and having them just let me exist as me, as my truest self, I would leave their house and walk home and just a weight would be lifted off of my shoulders. And that's when I really recognized the fact that you do need friends, you do need community that sees you for who you are and hears you for what you have to say, because that's really what got me through a lot of university as well. And those, just a random day like that, I would want to relive. The next one is what was the most unexpected? And I think you guys can predict what I'm going to say, but I did not expect at all the sort of issue that my race would be and my nationality would be in the UK. So, first of all, with race, obviously racism, but what I didn't expect, well, I didn't expect the blatant racism, like people saying ni hao, konnichiwa on the street to me, or guys pulling their eyes back at me in conversation, which is insane. I have to do another episode on race. It was also the comfortableness of whiteness. Is that a word? Comfortability of whiteness, in terms of whiteness being acted out, whiteness being projected onto everyone, basically. So people being okay with saying, oh my gosh, that's so exotic where you're from, to me and my friends, or professors confusing me with another Asian student and calling me by her name. Like, that was just something I didn't expect at all. Something really funny is when I first heard of shows like But Where Are You Really From, I was like, why is that a thing? Like, it just feels like, okay, yeah, there are issues, but like, why is it so important to like actually have a show every week for an hour to talk about these things? And it is valid. It's so valid. And I learned it through my experience of receiving that racism. So race is one thing. Nationality, people just telling me straight to my face, you know, we hate Americans, right? Sorry if that was bad. I butchered that accent. I still can't do a British accent. But yeah, people would say that to my face, like, we don't like Americans, and then they're like, oh, but where in America are you from? I'm like, Hawaii. And they're like, oh, okay, that's much better then. And I'm like, okay, well, what if I happen to be from Texas? Like, sure, there are lots of issues in the United States, but that doesn't mean you take an individual who's in your country, a foreign student, and just poop on them because of their country. It just didn't really translate to me. But yeah, that was the most unexpected for me, just feeling so unwelcomed by society at different points in time. What advice would you give your first year self? And this is a huge question that I've talked about with a lot of my friends, and I think it boils down to be yourself, you'll be okay, you'll get through it. And as cliche as it sounds, being yourself is such a difficult thing at the start when you're 18 and you're trying to make friends and you have zero friends for a lot of university students. But like I said before, I think I changed a lot of the way I behaved, or I sort of pushed myself overly out of my comfort zones, thinking that, oh, this is just me being more extroverted. But I think maybe it kind of turned into something I would act out of accordance with my values in social situations. And that wasn't me. That was me thinking I was being more extroverted to make more friends. So it all boils down to trying to make connections. And you really can't blame your younger self for that, because we're all looking for connections. We just haven't figured out how to do it yet. And I think I'm still figuring that out, and a lot of us are still figuring that out. It is just really hard to do it at any point in time. But when you're so vulnerable and in a new country and 18, surrounded by people who are 18 and trying out new things, learning new things, living on your own for the first time, all those factors can combine into something really stressful. The next one is propaganda about Leeds you are not falling for. Definitely, Leeds has the best nightlife. I think Leeds does have the best white hetero nightlife, white hetero cis nightlife. I think it's a different story for queer nightlife, for people of color nightlife, women. I think it was hard at times for me and my friends to find places that we felt completely comfortable and safe. And that would be true at any city. But I just remember even recently, I was at Leeds with my friends for 3 years, and we were talking about going out, and we're like, where should we go? And we kind of don't really have a place where we feel fully comfortable, where, you know, you're not going to get hate crimed, or no one's going to say something weird to you, or you're going to be accepted for who you are. All of us, you know, we joke about it sometimes. We're like the DEI group. Like, we have people of color, we have LGBTQ plus people. Where can we all fit in a space where we're all going to be accepted? Like, obviously, Viaduct is a gay club and bar, but people have done weird stuff to us there, and Backrooms is the only place where I've seen a lot of POC people congregate, but it still is weird in terms of like safety as a woman. Backrooms is also where a guy pulled his eyes back at me. So it's like, it's really difficult to agree with that statement of Leeds having the best nightlife when I know it's great nightlife at places like O2 and like typical white British and straight areas. So I think it's a statement that is only applicable to certain demographics. But, Leeds is already pretty good compared to a lot of places in the UK, I think. But I think Manchester might be a better place. And I haven't experimented much with Manchester. So, oh, never mind about that. When I did go out in Manchester that one time, this guy taps me on the shoulder. I turn around. He puts his hands together in like a prayer form, bows at me because he bumped into me, sort of like saying sorry, and all his friends were like laughing. And obviously that was because I was Asian. It happens everywhere, I think, and I'm so done with it, and that's why I don't really agree with that statement, and I feel like it's propaganda. So that is a wrap on the questions you guys submitted. Hi, so this is me editing this podcast episode and video episode, but I realized that I leave it on a note of talking about something really heavy, and I did think about maybe putting on the same outfit and continuing the video and ending it on a quote-unquote lighter note, but instead, I'm going to add this little clip and say that that is the experience, and we don't get to change our experiences in the real world and make it more comfortable for, a lighter-hearted version. So that's how I'm going to leave it, because it's real, and that's the point of this podcast. But all is good. This is just my experience, and I'm glad I get to talk about it, and I'm glad people absorb it. Thanks for watching. Bye.